All right, so we've got a bunch popping in right now. So if you just joined us, we are about to get started on our seminar today, but I usually need to give late arrivals a few minutes to get connected up. It sometimes takes longer than we think to get your system set up. So we'll be admitting people gradually here, but in the next few minutes we'll get started. Last one of these seminars we did, we had almost a hurricane going on here in Houston. So we had a near miss, and then we had a tropical storm that gave us a bunch of rain. So we're excited to have a glorious fall day today here this time. Jeff Jones, you, if I recall, are in Ann Arbor. Is that correct? He may be busy.
Yeah, no, I'm a little north of hurricanes.
North of hurricanes, exactly my point.
Yeah.
Of course, you're a little north of warm now too, probably, huh?
Yeah, it's we've had some frost in the ground. So
have you? Yeah, we've had humidity up until today. So, all right. So we've got just a couple more minutes and at the most, and then we'll go ahead and crank this thing up. For those of you already online, we are recording the session. We've already begun the recording, so just want to make sure you're aware, because that's our responsibility to do so. So we try to make sure we do it early and often. So we're looking forward to this one. This is the second in a series of 3 seminars relating to combustion management, and got some very impressive new technology we're going to introduce to you today. All right, we've got a few more coming in. We're almost there, gang. I'll give it another 60 seconds probably, and then we'll get started. I don't know if we have many college football fans out there in the audience, but even without a crowd, I'm still excited to see some college football again. That's I was very concerned we would see none at all, because it's one of my favorite things to do, and so we've got that coming back to life.
Makes the weather feel cooler,
doesn't it? Doesn't it? Yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
It's subliminal.
Yeah, it feels like fall now.
It does. It feels like fall.
And semi-normal. I don't know about the rest of you, but I have noticed if you watch sports now, they pipe in the crowd sounds, even if the crowd's not there. And then you're watching it on TV, it really isn't much different, to be honest. It sounds the same until they do the view from the blimp. So the fake blimp, probably it's a drone, I'm sure now. All right. Well, hey, Jeff, you feeling it? You ready to get started?
Man, here? I'm buckled in, Dave. I'm ready to go.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I'll go through my little spiel, and then we'll kick this thing off. Welcome, everybody. This is, as I mentioned, the next in a series of seminars we've produced for specifically for combustion management. And it's a part of our knowledge seminar series you can see on your screen. Control Products began producing knowledge seminars back in the early part of the pandemic shutdown, trying to take advantage of everybody being at home and maybe share some information and knowledge. So that's the basis of the name of the series. I'm David Clark. I'm with Control Products. We're based here in Houston. Do business all over the country technically, but primarily in Texas, Louisiana. Today's topic is what we've deemed revolutionary combustion equipment management with Honeywell Slate. This is a really unique product that we wanted to get out and introduce to people, because I don't think people really think we can do what we can do with this today. It's awesome. So our presenter is going to be Jeff Lorfing. Jeff is a sales engineer from Honeywell Thermal Solutions. He specializes in products by Honeywell, Maxon, etc. I think Jeff has more experience in the industry than he wants me to tell you about because he looks much younger than I do. So anyway, Jeff's extremely experienced in the business and very knowledgeable partner of ours. So a lot of experience in boiler plants of all sizes, applications, both industrial, commercial. We're emphasizing commercial applications today. Based in Houston, Texas, we're glad to say, because he's a local partner as well. So we also have joining us today Jeff Jones. Jeff Jones is also with Honeywell Thermal Solutions. He's up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. He is the Slate Business Development Manager for Honeywell Thermal Solutions, and will be participating, I like to consider him color commentary, as Jeff Lorfing walks us through the content of the presentation. So with that said, a couple of housekeeping things. All microphones will be on mute to start with. If you have a comment or a question, I might suggest using the chat tool. Look for it right now, so you make sure you see it and can use it when you want to. I will be monitoring the chat to make sure we don't miss any important, timely questions, but we will, of course, be leaving time at the end for questions and answers. This is intended to be an interactive session, so if you do have questions, please chime in. It's best to do it via the chat so we can structure and keep the presentation flowing, but I want to inject timely questions as well. So the Jeffs can take the question as they occur. Okay, so let's say also, finally, we are recording this. I'll say one last time so that if you or a friend missed, obviously you didn't miss it, if a friend of yours missed it, one of our reps will hook you up with a link to the recording so that you can get back to us. We'll give you contact information at the end of the presentation. All right, so with that, I think we've got all the basics covered. We don't have to talk about restroom breaks or anything else like we do in live meetings. So let's get it going. Jeff, you ready?
You bet. Thank you, David.
Let's make it happen.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And yeah, welcome everyone. For those of y'all that were able to attend the first session of the knowledge-based seminars here for Honeywell Thermal, welcome back. For those of y'all that are joining today for Slate, I'm excited that you're here. This is the second part of a three-part series that we're putting on here with our partner Control Products, and with the focus being on burner management, and as well as now combustion control today, as you'll see as we get into this presentation.
Hey Jeff, real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt you so quickly, but I want to point out for those who missed the first one, we do have that one recorded as well. So if anybody wants to go back and get into that seminar, it was a very good fundamentals of combustion. Combustion control automation. So we certainly will hook you up with that as well. Thanks.
Yep. No, thank you, David. And there has been a little method to our madness in the way we're putting these together. So we wanted to start off with that basic 7800 presentation where we talked about that legacy product, kind of where it's at currently, features, functions, what role it plays in the safety system, because without that, you know, the Slate plays right off that product. So we wanted to lay that groundwork for you as we moved into this presentation specifically with Slate. So that's going to be our focus today. We're going to show you features, benefits, functionalities. We're always open for questions. Per David's point, if you have a question, please ask it, chat it up. David will interject and ask the question, because if you have it, more than likely somebody else has it. It's never a bad question, never a bad question. So with that, we're gonna get going. So this is the slide we ended the last presentation with, actually. Some of the bullet points here that I want to review before we get into it. So Slate equals safety and more, right? And the more part is really going to be the part of this platform that differentiates us and you in the market, okay? The more part, and we're going to touch on that specifically in this presentation. But I want you to know the 7800 series is here to stay, okay? We just relaunched that product. That is a tried and true legacy safety product for us. It is going nowhere. We have a very robust and aggressive roadmap for the 7800. But the 7800 was the foundation for Slate. The safety piece and the more piece was the foundation for the development of Slate. The voice of our customers said, hey, we love the 7800, we love what it does, meets all the approvals, but we wanted just a little more functionality, like for instance, enunciation, combustion control, fuel air ratio combustion control, IO, etc. So we built off of that foundation of the 7800 to develop Slate. Slate is a very cost-effective, configurable combustion safety and control platform. So you'll see as we get into this, and you find an application and you go through the process of actually doing this and quoting this to a customer, you're going to see that you're getting a lot of bang for your buck under the hood with this platform. So with that, we're going to run a short video here. Here again, we ended, it was our teaser from the end of the last session, but I want to replay it. And I think it'll just continue to lay the groundwork for our presentation today.
The sound is good, Jeff. It looks good.
Good. Hopefully everybody out there can hear as well. That name really derived from, we wanted to start with a blank slate in developing this product. It's a great marketing video showing you an overview of the hardware. Our base unit here houses our communication protocols, our configuration HMI. Everything can be done and accessed from that screen, as well as those interface buttons there. That, ladies and gentlemen, is your 7800 controller in a module form in this platform. There's your amplifier that we all know we need in the 7800. Here's where we get into the more part of the platform with our fuel air ratio control. So now we can handle combustion control in this platform. We can handle FM approved limits in the limit module that are needed on safety systems. Enunciator. Everybody loves first out enunciation. We can do that as well. And there's our flexible I/O at the end of the chassis, housing discrete and analogs that you can freeform logic and build control all in the same platform. Standard 10-inch HMI comes with the system now. Custom graphics that you can build for your customer, as well as your logos or whatever you want to do to complement your business. All in one integrated platform. All right, perfect. So just a snapshot of the video we just saw. That's the base unit there that we looked at. So conceptually, there may be some of you that are have seen or familiar with our Delphi burner management panel. So some years ago, we had a concept that's very similar to our Slate platform. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to develop a panel that handled the safety portion of the system for the burner management. So we included a RM7800. We wanted to be able to do the combustion control out of this panel as well. That included O2 trim. We wanted VFD controls in case we're trying to control our airflow with a VFD to a blower. As service folks, we all love enunciation, right? We want to know what shut us down. So we wanted to include that in there as well. And we did that with a Honeywell HC900 PLC. So, you know, conceptually, you know, we wanted to get all of this functionality into this panel, and we did. And we developed a Delphi panel, and that's a picture there on the right, that Honeywell panel. If you look at the shot there to the left, that's kind of what the internal of this panel would look like, right? You got the control link system there, you got an HMI, you got a little PLC in there. So you've got different products handling pieces of the overall system that we were wanting to develop here and achieve all this functionality in this panel. And we did, and it worked. But here again, if you weren't familiar with any or parts of this system, you were at a disadvantage when it came to troubleshooting and or fixing, repairing this panel. So if we take that conceptually, that functionality that lived in the Delphi panel is what we've now accomplished with our Slate product. We have all that functionality, but as you saw in the video, it is all one seamless integrated platform, modular by design. It was the premise of the development of the panel, but we just wanted to give you some insight here as to, we've been thinking about this for a while, and we had something in the past, but we've really taken it to the next level with our Slate platform.
Hey, Jeff, this is a good time. Hi, everybody. This is Jeff Jones. This is the other Jeff. I want everyone to look at this shot. It's a great shot, especially the picture on the left. You have all those different pieces of hardware that's in the panel, and what Slate really did is we took all those pieces, those hardwares, and we paired it down into, you know, a module or a card. So one of the great benefits of Slate is, you know, the time required to wire up all of this, right, and integrate this, and have to jump in and program your control links, program your PLC, program your VFDs, program your enunciation. All of that was done individually, wired up individually, and then you had at the end, put it all together in a panel, made it all integrate and make it work. So what Slate really did was it removed that wire, saved you time in wiring, saved you time in programming, because now we have everything under one platform, programmable platform. And so when you saw that video, you saw, you know, the flexibility, getting to market in a faster time. You know, that's what this is. It really does get you to market quicker because of the programming piece. Once you get your wire sheets put together, you know, a lot of them is repeatable, as well as the time required to wire this thing up. So this panel here, the Delphi panel, would have, you know, cost you a fortune, and it did. It was very, very expensive. But going to Slate, we basically cut our cost to market by half to do this type of combustion system. So that's really something to think about when Jeff starts stepping you through the different individual modules and cards. All this picture in your mind, what the panel looks like, all the hardware pieces, all the wire, and all the time required to program it and wire it.
And I can tap into that a little myself as well. As a distributor, this that point allows us to have to stock fewer items and solve more problems with that stock. So if you've got a problem in the field and you need to replace an element, the elements are configurable and replaceable. So we're more likely to have the widget you need when something goes wrong.
Yeah, all excellent points. And, you know, you heard firsthand right there, kind of the trickle down theory, if you will. You know, Jeff points out the installation, the wiring and everything that was involved there. And then you get a distributor's perspective about how he can better serve you with parts and pieces and provide the expertise in-house to help support this. So all good stuff there around kind of how we went from this idea and concept to the Slate platform. In this slide here, we're just going to show the progression of hardware, existing hardware and products that we have, and then how you know, we ended up there at the top with Slate. So here again, and we're going to be referencing this most of this presentation, you have the 7800. That is a configurable safety product. Configurable meaning you buy the parts and pieces that you need to build up a system. So depending on what flame scanner you need for your application, you have to marry that with the proper amp. We're going to put a display on it. We obviously need the relay that's going to meet the functionality requirements that we need. So configurable by nature through parts and pieces. The SOLA platform, configurable safety, but it also allowed some more configurable functionality. So little more under the hood than the 7800, but not quite a Slate product either. The Slate product takes that configurable safety, it takes the integrated combustion piece, and then now we have the more part, right? We have all of that functionality and more with our annunciator module, our FM approved limit module, and our other IO modules that allow you to program freeform logic, if you will, process in this same platform. As some of you may or may not know, y'all might be asking yourself, it's a known no-no, if you will, to put control logic into safety logic in the same platform. So we achieve that by completely segregating out the configurable part of this system with the programmable part of the system, and we're able to meet those safety requirements in this platform. It is spelled out in code that you will not mix safety logic with control logic, but we achieve that by having a configurable portion of the system and a programmable portion of the system, and those are two separate entities even though they reside on the same chassis. So here again, Slate, some other points we want to cover. Configurable safety, smoothly integrated with programmable logic. So playing off my previous slide there a little bit, this does not replace or is not a substitute for the 7800 and SOLA, meaning this product is not here to phase out those other two products. If you have an opportunity with a customer that's dealing with some end-of-life issues, reliability issues with an old panel, and they want more than just the 7800 has to offer, absolutely. We want to introduce them to Slate and what the platform has to offer. But Slate was not developed by us to replace or phase out the 7800 or SOLA. Our competitors have nothing like Slate. And here again, that differentiator for us in the marketplace is the programmable piece. Some of our competitors do have configurable safety, but where we differentiate ourselves in that space is we do have that programmable piece that allows you to accommodate other IO outside of just the safety piece. Customers have been asking for this. Here again, like I mentioned before, the voice of our customer said, hey, we want more. We just want more, right? This will differentiate you and Honeywell in the market. The word is, folks have been waiting on this for a very long time, and now you do have a blank slate to go out, find applications and opportunities where you can use this integrated platform seamlessly to accommodate the functionality of your customers.
So Jeff, I would say just to build on that, the competitors have nothing like this. It's like Jeff said, you know, our competitors will have, you know, packaged together a flame safeguard module with a fuel air ratio control, but that's it. So we go back to that picture, you know, keep that picture in your mind's eye about all the wire and all the different hardware. So to do what Slate does, they're going to have to, you know, find a PLC to tie in with the combustion system. They're still going to have to bring in a limit control. They're still going to have to bring in some form of enunciation. Once again, so all different hardware, all different wiring, all different platforms that all have to be programmed a different way. So that's where the differentiator is really on this, is that one platform for programming and reducing the wiring and time and labor.
Yeah, and a real quick addition to that is the programmable part is we'll call it the new part, a new addition to the offering. That programmable part, you don't want to be concerned about or afraid of, because Control Products as a Slate distributor, we have our technicians are already trained in the underlying technology of this, which is Honeywell's Tritium Niagara framework. So if you're from the building automation side, you understand that that is a prolific standard in the building automation industry. Our technicians are already certified in Tritium and factory trained on the programming tool that we use to set up the modules that are freely programmable. The configurable modules are something that we would train you on how to use, as well as the programming if you are interested. So we can support you locally and or nationally from that standpoint.
Yeah, that's a great point, David. A lot of times when we start mentioning the programmable piece, folks, you know, their eyes kind of start dancing around. You can, you know, see them looking down, maybe kicking a rock. You know, they start getting a little nervous, and that's one reason why Control Products, we partner with Control Products, because they have the resources to support you there in that free form Niagara piece, the configurable piece. Really just a learning curve for probably the audience here today. You know, we're going to walk you through one, and I can assure you by your second or third one, you'll be very proficient in setting one of these systems up. So that's a great point. Let's take a closer look at the hardware. Let's really kind of get into the bones of this thing. So we have the base unit, which is the module all the way to the left, obviously about 2.5 times size of all the other modules. That is the base unit. That's where the power supply resides, as well as the communication ports. The communication ports that are native to this base module are Modbus and BACnet. Very much industry standards in not only the industrial space, but the commercial space, right? We can easily tie this system back up into an overall building management system and pull any and all data out of this base unit relative to the system, right? Any way you've configured this system, we can get all of that data out of there and available to the end user. So you've heard us say this several times now: configurable safety and programmable logic. Configurable safety, this is the part that holds all of the safety approvals, consists of the burner control module, the flame amp module, the fuel air ratio control, and the limit module. That is the safety part of the system that we can configure from the base module, as well as our display that we saw earlier as well. The programmable piece, The modules that are included in that portion of the system are the digital and analog I/O and the annunciation. And I can't ever stress enough, even when I do 7800 classes, and for those of you on the call today, Honeywell has discontinued our 7830 annunciator. You've probably seen those over the years. They're a hardwired annunciator that was very beneficial to you when you had a unit that had tripped, and you could at least walk in and figure out about the reason or about where the limit string was broken, right? I always think that is so valuable for service technicians. Time is money, and for you to walk in and had the ability through this module to see that the high gas pressure switch took you out, low gas, low water cutout, whatever the reason may be, you have visibility to that. It's flashing on your display. You go right to it. You address the problem, and you're back up and running. And your customer's happy. That here again is a programmable piece where we have and can build custom FIFO, first in, first out logic routines to accommodate your I/O on the system. So here again, just an overview. We got the base module, the configurable safety, burner control, flame amp, fuel air ratio control. We call it the FARC module, FARC, and the limit module. Programmable logic, digital and analog I/O, along with that annunciation module. So one really cool feature with our base unit. Look at the voltage requirements for this module: 24 volt DC to 24 volt AC, up to 240 volt AC. Universal power, so a very flexible unit from power requirements. I mentioned before, we've got the Modbus and the BACnet ports, communication ports native to this base, and it also allows you to handle web services through here as well. We had a customer that would actually build videos. They would tape videos, and specifically to whatever piece of equipment, whether it was troubleshooting, how to start it up, and the operator could actually go and access these YouTube videos on the display and play them if they were there in the middle of the night, or hey, this is you got a greenhorn out there that's trying to start up a piece of equipment. He can watch the video, and it was very interactive, really cool feature. So we can do all that through this base module with its web services. Like we touched on, why is this important? So multiple voltage options. Generally we're going to run into 24 volts or 120, so we're covered. You can see your information from your smartphone if you're able to get into that network via modem. And we're going to end this presentation with some more details on that. And if you do have access to the network, it will allow you to do some remote troubleshooting on the system as well. So the display, clean and simple messaging. The menus are very intuitive. It's very easy to follow, to walk through the configuration and setup. Why is this important? The human factors element provides better user experience. So hey, if it's easy, if it looks good, smells good, guess what? It's normally pretty good. And we believe that this base module provides that to the service and user of this platform. We feel like it's catered to the senses and allows you to follow along quite easily. Easy to understand messaging, navigation, and saves time, right? Here again, time is money when troubleshooting. We can provide all sorts of status data across the platform from this menu and this display. And it also provides an interface for the commissioning and panel checkout portion of the system.
And Jeff, I can't, I don't know, stress enough the importance of that BACnet capability for building automation systems. You know, most systems today have BACnet integration capabilities. BACnet is designed to be integrated into a building automation system. That's what BAC means. That said, we're able to do so much more than we used to be able to do with just a Modbus interface to, various modules. So, the visibility of the boiler plant is going to be significantly improved by having that capability on this Slate platform.
Right. No, and that's a great point, David. And we're going to, I want to add to that. And at the end of this presentation, we're going to introduce you to the third part of our three-part series with our thermal IQ piece. But to David's point, we know in the marketplace that the knowledge in the way we run fired equipment is changing. We know this. We know it's changing. Everyone is relying on data, right? I mean, we look around and we're all data driven. And so the fact that we can get all of the data out of this system and make it available to an end user and provide analytics around it so that we can react to more of a proactive basis instead of a reactive basis brings a tremendous amount of value to not only you and your business, but ultimately your customers, your end users, right? Because I always tell people that fired equipment gets attention for two reasons: when it shuts down and when it won't relight. And the fact that you can prevent that through analytics, or you do have an issue where or an instance where the system has tripped, you've got to get the system back up and running. And so this system allows you visibility to diagnostics, enunciation, and it allows you just to do that very thing to get the system back up and running. So,
Jeff, before we move on to the the configurable modules, I think, I'm not sure if we're covering it here and if we've talked about it, but to let everybody know that the way you program Slate is based off the Niagara platform. So, I'm assuming the folks that are on this call here are familiar with Niagara. If they're building automation people and they've programmed, this is a tritium-based program. It's Niagara. And just to give you like a high level where we're at as well is right now, Slate is Niagara AX. We are migrating to N4 right now, but this is the base unit itself is where the CPU is housed. That's where the programming happens in Niagara. And you load you program on a same thing. You're going to get a license and you're going to get the workbench and you're going to program and all of the way you program it is just like you use in Niagara. So I'm sure we have Niagara users here. That's where I think, when we talk about comfort level for you folks, I don't think the comfort level is not going to be on the programming side. I think where our job is going to be with maybe some of the people on the phone is getting you guys up to speed on the combustion side and how you program combustion in Niagara. And I think that's where we're going to need to help you guys along. But as Jeff mentioned earlier, 2-3 systems, you're going to be well on your way, and you'll always have the support of, controlled products. You're going to have the support of our application engineering team that is willing to pick up the phone anytime to help you guys through, the combustion side of your programming. But I don't want to get too far down here when we're starting to talk about programming. That everyone should know that this thing is programmed in a tritium-based Niagara platform.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. Let's let's carry on here and take a look at each one of these configurable modules that we've been talking about this morning. So I wanted to revisit this. This was a slide from the previous training. So this is the 7800 system. And the reason I want to show this again is the basis of Slate was off of the 7800 system. The modules that we're about to cover, specifically the burner control module, is this blue box. So we just wanted to highlight the parts and pieces, specifically the relay module itself, the flame amplifier, and the display, which now, as you have seen several times, is housed in that base module. But here again, this was just more of a visual of how the Slate modules placate and build off of this 7800 legacy system. So here it is, the burner control module. This module is 7800 in SOLA series emulation, meaning the functionality that you can configure in this module can emulate both the 7800 and the SOLA series. It is the safety relay. It can handle dual fuels. We can, through this module, provide VPS, valve proving, provides 24-volt VDC flame safeguard, which is unique, right? For those of y'all familiar, that's a unique feature. And here again, automatically adapts to that universal power that we talked about. So the unique thing about this burner control module, and I want to spend just a minute here, we talked about the 7800 and how it's configurable. One of the first things that we have to do is figure out what functionality do I need in my 7800, and that's really how we go pick a model. So whether that be something as simple as a flame relay, an RM7823, maybe we want a semi-automatic for an RM7838, we want to go with a natural draft 7890, 7895, and 40, and so on, right? Every one of those models brings with it functionality as we move across that product platform. This burner control module, through its configurability, can be any of those 7800s that I just mentioned, and that is the point I really want y'all to take home with you today. This burner control module is completely configurable. I can make it be a 7838, I can make it be a 7895, I can make it be an RM7840. So we do that through the configurability of the module through the display. And here again, less parts and pieces, less to know, less models. Your distributor, Control Products, already has these on the shelf. And so that is really a unique feature to this burner control module, is its ability to work across any and all safety related functionality requirements.
Yeah, Jeff, that's like, you nailed it on this module here. And imagine, in this, I'm going to speak to the people that you're looking for. Let's say Jeff said 7840, and you're trying to find a 7840 somewhere, right? Well, if the distributor doesn't have the 7840, that's what this is. This eliminates all of having your distributor having to carry all of those SKUs and all those different parts and pieces, because this can be the 7840 or the 7890 or the 7895. It can be any SKU flame safeguard. So you're not waiting around, for delivery of a part. It's really, really powerful, that piece of it.
That's right. And I want to make a point. I think this is as good a time of any. We're showing you the slides that you've seen. You're looking at a completely, the system that you see in our slides is a full boat system, if you will. It has any and every module in this presentation. But maybe I'm stating the obvious here, but these systems can be a base module, a burner control module, a flame amp, and an annunciator. Fuel air ratio control. They don't have to house a complete breadth of all of the modules that we're showing here. So this is a completely configurable platform based on your functionality requirements. Very much PLC based, if you will. You pick your modules based on the functionality you need. Let's talk about the flame amp, right? We know the flame amp is required in the 7800. It won't work without a flame amp. Well, guess what? This one won't either, right? The flame detector is the first line of defense for any burner management system. So we have to have it. And from an architectural standpoint, system architecture, it has to live next door to the burner control module. So just like our 7800 series product, you have to marry the flame detector with the appropriate amp. So whether you're needing standard amp, you're needing an amplifier that's going to drive a self-check function with the scanner. We have, Jeff, is it 4 or 5 flavors of the amplifier that we have available to accommodate our existing flame detector family, right?
That's right. Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. We can basically accommodate everything that we have for flame amplification. And I don't know, do you want to do a little roadmap thing here?
Sure. Yeah, you can touch on that. Go ahead.
Okay, because, you know, and I'm not sure how familiar this group is with our IFM products, but we're working on, you know, having the Slate system also adapt to IFM, which is industrial flame monitoring. And Jeff is very adept and familiar with IFM products. So that also is kind of a game changer for us when we can pull IFM into Slate.
Yeah, really is. They're part of that product family. Allows us to do some things that that are a little more of a struggle with our 7800 series scanners. The reality of it is most of what you're doing is going to be natural gas. You may have some number 2 oil here and there, but this allowing us to be able to accommodate the IFM product family into this platform is going to be a game changer for us to get into some other applications. So what is control links? For those of you that aren't familiar with control links was a system designed to replace mechanical actuators and linkages on modulating burners with extremely precise direct coupled actuators. So the control link system, and in our Delphi portion some slides ago, we saw a control links controller there. So it consisted of a controller with actuators based on the requirement of the system. Let's just say 2. We got fuel and air, and you married it with the 7800, and it worked hand in hand, especially around the go to low fire, go to purge. There was communications between the two so that the safety piece could perform its function, and then it would hand over the combustion control piece. Control links was specifically for combustion control. Okay, and as you well know, 2 different things, right? We've talked about that before. BMS is safety, combustion control is demand, right? So that essentially was the control link system. That system, that control link system, now has all been integrated into this fuel air ratio control module. All of that functionality around controlling fuel, controlling air to a 1/10 of a degree on a direct coupled actuator is all in this module. You can configure this module. Here again, part of the configurable modules, right? You can configure all of this through the display. You can establish your combustion curve. You can do all of that in this module. We do have predefined commissioning curves. We have graphical representation to see the curve on our display. Each combustion curve can house up to 24 specific points along the curve. We get diagnostic feedback now from our actuators. If we have a deviation or a comm loss to our actuators, we get that data as well. And this is another unique feature of the platform as a whole. that last bullet point, as the analog cell could be used for other purposes than a VFD. So what Slate does a really good job at is it utilizes the IO in the existing system that you have. And so, all right, Jeff, what does that mean? So if I build a system and it included a fuel air ratio control, and then you're like, hey, if I just had another analog output, generally what you'd have to do is go buy analog output module. What Slate will allow you to do is utilize IO on modules that are not already assigned. Okay, so that automatically has an economic effect on the project. It gives you flexibility to accommodate other IOs outside of just the configurable piece. And it's just a really cool feature. Panel space, right? You don't have to purchase another module, and that extends your rack. So there's a lot of benefits there, but Slate does a really good job of utilizing IO, traffic copying, or whatever lingo you're used to. It allows you to use these modules to their fullest extent based on the density of the IO that they have. Another feature, if you can see at the top there, we have VFDs. We have outputs that are dedicated to variable frequency drives to drive our combustion blowers. 4 analog outs, so we can do dual fuels with FGR along with the air. This is a very, very robust module here for your fuel air ratio control. So now, right now, you pop open a panel, you got the old blue box there, and now you've got some single loop controller, right, handling your fuel air ratio control. We can do that all now in this module, same platform, right?
Yeah, and then the other, the other feature we missed on this slide, Jeff, we should make sure we cover it next time, is O2 trim.
Yeah, great point. Yes, and we can do O2 trim as well. Yep, very good point. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
So we wanted to show you part of the definition, or what was control links. It was used to replace this very system, and I'm sure a lot of you on the call today have seen this very thing. So if you look down here at the bottom, you see this mod motor here that's driving a cam, and you've got linkages for the fuel, you got linkages for the air. Looks like you might even have another, you're driving another valve over here. As you well know, the more these things move, you develop hysteresis or slop in the linkage. You can become out of ratio and really inefficient in a short order. So what Control Links does, and now Slate, is we remove all that and we take something that look like that. And oh, excuse me, I had the I had the verbiages in the slide, the animation. So here I covered this, but now we're gonna point it out. Here's the air damper, the butterfly gas valve, the secondary air damper, and the mod. There's the oil valve over there, all being driven by that one mod motor. So we take that and we turn it into this. And so what you're seeing are control links actuators that are now direct coupled to those final control devices, the valves and the dampers. And so, aesthetically looks a lot better, right? And now we can provide a on ratio control, and repeatability of this system is night and day compared to that linkage system. So we're providing some not only maintenance benefits, but we're providing the end user with better combustion, better efficiency, better fuel savings, and that equates to real money.
Yeah, that's a good point right there, Jeff. Is with that linkage, when Jeff says things go off ratio, for natural gas, we try to get perfect combustion. They say 10 to 1. That's 10 air molecules to 1 gas molecule. And with this system here, the control link system, it allows you to basically maintain that 10 to 1 ratio all the way through from when you go from a low fire to a high fire condition. And what happens when you have linkages, like Jeff said, you have a lot of slop in the linkages. Every little connection you put, the shafts to, they have little slop. And as you drive through from low fire condition to a high fire condition, you're going off ratio all the time. Or let's say the burner likes to, when it's operating at full load, it likes to operate, let's say, around 40% of the burner capacity. If you're at 40% burner capacity and the ratio is off by 10%, that's 10% that you're 10% less efficient when firing that burner for every second you're firing that burner. So when you think about larger inputs, like a burner like this that you're seeing that goes on a boiler, 10% of the volume of natural gas that a customer is paying, it's huge dollars. So that's why this, control link / fuel air ratio control is so important, and it's an easy sell to the end user when you start talking about, I can save you 5%, 10% on your fuel savings, just because we're able to maintain ratio control throughout the firing rate.
All great points there, Jeff. Thank you. So those control links actuators that you saw on the previous slide have now been replaced with our Slate actuators. These actuators communicate via Modbus to the fuel air ratio control module. As you see up top, we have varying torque specs on the actuator, so we can accommodate various, really kind of limitless requirements for our fuel and our air ratio valves, right? Obviously, the more air we're moving, we need a little more torque. So we've got, we start off with 50 inch-pounds, 150, 300, and 900, right? If you get into that industrial space, that's where we see these, right? The systems are larger. You're moving more air. You need a more robust actuator. So the point here is, we have actuators that can cover an array of applications in the market. They are field reversible, clockwise and counterclockwise. And here again, look at this, the diagnostic features that we get out of these actuators: temp, valve status, health diagnostics, obviously COM, deviation, all of that information, very beneficial when we're wanting to stay on ratio and provide that efficient combustion to our customers. Heavy duty construction, continuous duty cycle rated, closed loop position control. So it's just to the module and to the actuator and back. And we meet all the safety and limit controls of UL 353 with these actuators as well.
And I have to inject another, I've got to inject another building automation moment here. These are Modbus actuators. They're not, hardwired actuators, and we're getting all sorts of temperatures, statuses, diagnostics, as Jeff just mentioned. This is the Internet of Things. This is all the way out to the edge. We're at the device that's being controlled, getting feedback and information that can be collected, analyzed, and acted upon. Helps with diagnostics, predictive analytics, on and on and on and on. So by getting Modbus to the actuator, and then from the Slate, you can interlock it with your building automation or cloud-based interfaces we'll talk about in a minute. The phenomenal potential beyond what you can do with traditional controls.
Yep, that's all good stuff, David. And just imagine you can call your customer and say, we've noticed here on your boiler, you've been running out of ratio for about a week now on your gas. We want to make you aware. And here again, you're providing that true value to the customer, right? You want to come out in a predictive manner and address being off ratio because you're burning more fuel than you need to achieve the same thermal output. So that's real value to an end user. And before, like I said, things are changing, right? We're all data driven, and before, no one would have a clue about that. No one would have a clue until it got so out of ratio that maybe it flamed out, right? You got so out of ratio that it tripped the boiler. So now it's down. Now you got to get it relit, right? So you start selling reliability, you start selling uptime. You start putting uptime in your contracts. Hey, we're going to guarantee you this because I've got eyes on this thing, right? I got eyes on it, and I know before things happen. So UDC, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this piece of hardware. This piece of hardware has been around for forever at Honeywell. We have to use in combustion systems the FM approved version of this controller to provide most of the times like high stack limit. By code, it has to be an FM approved device for that service. Down here, safety limits are conditions that the combustion system shall maintain during the heating application. These limits can be applied during safe start, operate, and shutdown of the heating application. So they're a requirement, and the devices that you use to accommodate those requirements have to be approved for that service. That's the point I'm trying to make here. So what we've done is we've integrated all of those requirements and approvals into our limit module. And we've provided a fairly dense I/O here for this module. You got 4 sensors, 8 limits, and 2 dual limits. And just to reiterate from a previous slide, you can use these things for other functions and features outside of the safety piece on this limit module. So here again, Slate's managing its I/O very efficiently. We use this as a safety relay down at the bottom. You see the relay in out there at the terminals on the